So the men's épée final is our next bout. So if we could have the fencers, please. From Edinburgh Fencing Club, Callum Johnston. And representing Egham Fencing Club, Callum Maynard. Referee, Adrian Speakman. And assessors, Sarah Stacey and Dan Hazelwood. Thank you, and if we are ready, we will start.
So here we are, the second gold medal match of our live broadcast here from Sports Dock at the University of East London, and it's the gold medal match in men's épée. A fiercely contested field here today, and it's another battle of Scotland versus England and two Callums. I'm Karen Bashir, joining me in the commentary box, Rob Cauldron. Rob, have you been watching the épée today?
No, I'll be honest, I haven't. I caught the semi-finals, but outside of that, I haven't had a huge amount of interest in what's gone on in the épée today. The sort of big headline, if you look through the tableau, would be James Russell, young junior, just back from the World Championships in Verona, making his way through to the semi-finals, and actually was up on Callum Johnston in the semi-final. Callum able to pull through. I think he was champion 2 years ago, was Callum? To put you on the spot.
Yes, but I was thinking actually about last year. Last year was a battle of the more experienced fencer, Greg Allen and Mark Bacalta. It's a bit of a turnaround this year, but épée has this strange thing where anyone on their day supposedly can win.
Yeah, it's what it's one of the things that everyone quotes about épée, isn't it? That anyone can win it, and I'm not a huge believer in that. I prefer to say that anyone can lose it. Because I think it still tends to be the same, particularly if you look towards the top of international. It still seems to be the same 10 to a dozen people who are actually likely to win a competition. And out of a competition of, what, 400 that you can get in a men's or épée World Cup, that's pretty consistent, I feel.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen 400, but yeah, we've tipped 300 a couple of times in the last couple of years. And I think you're right on the international stage. There are probably 40 or 50 athletes that can get onto the podium, but it does tend to be the same dozen or dozen and a half that pick up the major gongs. But here we've got two Callums, Callum Johnston from Edinburgh Fencing Club and Callum Maynard from Egham Fencing Club. If you are new to the game of épée, it's the easiest one to understand. It's the purest of the weapons, if you like. It's first one to hit. And the whole body's target's another point weapon, so you've got to hit your opponent with the tip of your sword. And the idea is to get to 15 points in regulation time or be in the lead after 3 periods of 3 minutes. Cagey game. So because you're trying to hit your opponent without getting hit, the job is to set the hits up in order that you get one light on the box. The only weapon where both fencers can score at the same time, and that's called a double.
Callum's really looked for his flesh quite a lot early on. I think he's tried it. He's tried about 3 times, and it's worked sort of 1.5, where he missed one a minute ago and then scored with the second one. I don't know if maybe he's doing maybe he gets prizes for how many fleshes he lands today in the final or something. But he's really, really keen on the flesh.
The telling thing on that last one, though, was that he was definitely found the blade, and he made sure he found it that time. I think on certainly one of the previous occasions, Johnston hadn't found the blade. Maynard was able to deceive and then get the counter-attack. As soon as Johnston gets hold of that blade, of course, he's in control of what Maynard can do against him.
I mean, the thing he did better, and it happened again there, when he was scoring down by, or trying to go and score the flesh down by Maynard's on guard line, he was triggering that flesh from a long way away, almost from the DLR station, it felt like. Like there again, it's from miles away. He's nowhere near Maynard, and for me, he's quite lucky to get away with that. But when it gets down towards the warning box, towards Johnston's end of the piece, the distance naturally closes up a little bit anyway, and that means he's able to score just like he did there. Just because that distance collapses as the back line approaches.
Now, Robert, I know you are, coach extraordinaire, of course, but you're...
Oh, he's down.
Straight back up again, though, hard as nails. You're favoured. I don't want to call it favoured. Your weapon of choice is a saber, right?
Yeah, that's right. I spend most of my time coaching saber. I get involved in the other two a little bit, but most of my time I spend with saber.
So exactly how far away from saber is this?
I don't know. It depends what you're looking at. For me, because of the way that I like to look at saber, for me it's a distance and timing game, and it's about change of direction and and particularly scoring over the top of someone's mistakes. That doesn't feel a million miles away from what's happening in Epee. A lot of the time, when we're talking about Epee and saber, I say that the final part of an Epee point is a little bit like the whole of a saber point. So that final maybe stop and then go over the top with a flash is kind of similar to what you'd see in saber, but in saber it would be all of it, and there's none of the setup that's happening at the moment. Having said that, this is a pretty high-scoring fight. 7-4 in the first period, 8-4. There's that flash again. It's probably another drink for Johnston.
Oh, we could start that. We've got the saber coming up. Our viewers do like a bit of a drinking game. Lemonade all round, please. Look, Maynard was doing a lot of the pushing there, but he didn't seem to be doing it with any real intent. And it almost seemed like there was a line somewhere around the warning line for Johnston that if he got pushed to that point, he was going to say, no, enough's enough, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. I'm not really sure whether Maynard was pushing down the piste or whether Johnston was pulling him. It felt to me more like Johnston was saying, hey, come on, let's go, come this way, and then boom, hit him with the flash. Maynard, when he was coming forwards, it didn't look like he had a really clear idea of how he was going to score. He just seemed to be waiting for Johnston, and even when Johnston's been triggering a flash from quite a long way out, he's not really been punishing it. And that kind of feels to me like Maynard's coming forwards, but not really knowing what he's trying to do.
Yeah, well, I think I kind of think that's what I was leaning to. The sort of Maynard pushing forward without any real plan, without no real intent. You never know. We might see something a bit different now. But he's certainly pressing hard again.
He is, but if you watch every time he steps forward, it's like he's stepping forward, reaching for the blade, and Johnston's just quite happy to give it to him and then take it away from him. And like that is a strange hit there from Maynard, where Johnston's just keeping his blade down and out of the way, so there's nothing for Maynard to work with. So his answer to that was basically to try and jump on top of Johnston, which didn't work. And then, yeah, it doesn't feel like he's got any real idea of what he's trying to do. It's almost like when you see in the playground, nice attack, really nice attack.
There's another shot of lemonade there for Johnston.
Johnston's just confusing the distance really well at the moment. It feels like Maynard's trying to work off of the blade, and he seems to be even using that as his measure for distance. And Johnston's just working that. And Maynard's not spotting the little change when Johnston gets it in a little bit tighter and then can almost hit him at will. It's a really good fight, actually, this from Callum Johnston.
Yeah, he's taken control of it. We're in the second period, and 11-4 is a commanding lead, and a nice flick around the bell. So because the sword arm and sword hand is part of the target area, the epee guard is big, but epee fencers all trained to hit around the bell, as they call it, around the guard, and that's where you get that ding sound.
If you look at Maynard now, everything he's doing is trying to do something with the blade. That's nice hit, but he's trying to do something with Callum's blade first. And because of that, he's giving Johnston all the timing in the world to go round it or to interrupt him before he goes for it. And Johnston's game, he's just playing with the distance. He's just opening and playing and jumping around. And then he picks his moment, and he's going to go any second now with a big flash.
Oh, now, where was that? On the floor.
Yeah, it says the floor. I think it was maybe just off the piece as hit off the piece just as Johnston was coming around. That's better. This time, Maynard actually doesn't really do anything with the blade. This time he just steps in and then goes. And he catches Johnston a little bit by surprise because Johnston's waiting for Maynard to do something with the blade. And he just goes instead. And again, there's the flesh.
The thing though in Epee, because you say it matter-of-factly, and I understand where you're coming from. I know what you're talking about. But the crucial thing here is that Johnston's won the fight at the beginning. He's built the lead, so he can sit back as long as he's... I hate myself when I say this, actively passive.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
As long as he's sitting back, not taking any risk, but staying in the fight, it's all down to Maynard and what Maynard has to do. And therefore, you can play the doubles game if you like. You can just try and pick your opponent off as they come forward. But there he is, Johnston dropping to the floor. He is the 2018 British champion of men's epee, and what a fight he had.
Really nice, very composed. He managed to basically take the drama out of the final almost completely.
Brilliant display right at the beginning there from the young man from Scotland, Edinburgh Fencing Club. Congratulations, your man has just won the British Championship title, and a sporting handshake from opposing coach Alex Greenwich there, walking across the centre of the field of play. Brilliant man. Callum Maynard, beginning a bit difficult, and then he found it very, very hard to close and press at the end.
I think it's absolutely right. I think your point about Callum was pushing down the piece, and he didn't really seem to have a plan for how he was going to score his point, whereas Johnston was very, very clear how he was going to score. He was going to score with that flesh, and he was going to just drive in and then mix it up a little bit in the latter stage of the fight. But to be honest, that flesh, as Johnston was stepping in, that's what won him early on. I think Maynard's indecision, or whatever you want to call it, is what really cost him in the first period. He just didn't seem to have a plan.
Well, we said it right at the beginning, pushing forward without intent, but we are certainly not going to fall into the same trap as we push forward with intent.